We're talking about the ECX Barrage Gen 2, and that means, obviously, that Jennifer has one of these as well. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're taking a first look review at the Horizon ECX Barrage Gen 2. And no, that doesn't mean that it's Jennifer's as well. It means that this is generation 2 of the ECX Barrage, so there have been some significant upgrades over the original Barrage. I didn't get an original Barrage, so I can't tell you exactly what the changes are, but I will go through in depth what is on this version of the ECX Barrage from Horizon Hobbies. And with that, I must say thank you to Horizon Hobbies for sending this out to me to do this review and to also do a very special project with this truck. Now, I won't give it all away now. We'll get back into that at the end of this episode, but I will say that there are 3 ECX Barrage Gen 2s in the hands of 3 very good builders, well, myself included in that group, making some very cool custom builds on this chassis to show you what is capable with this truck and how to take it to that next level to make it Scale Builders Guild worthy. We're not worthy! We're not worthy! More on that later. Let's get into the truck right away, see what we've got here in front of us. So this is the ECX Barrage version 2, or Gen 2 as they're calling it. They're labeling it as a 12th scale 1.55 wheel truck, ready to run, and that is a true ready to run. Batteries and charger and transmitter receiver are included, so you can get going right away. 4 LEDs, 2 white, 2 red, are included on the truck. And this nice, handsome blue pickup style body. And I'm not sure what they were going for in terms of the look of this truck. It has a bit of a mini pickup, or maybe like a Suzuki inspired kind of line to it. I like it. I think it's a good looking body. There's not a ton of detail, but I'm hoping that instead of spending a lot of effort and time on the body and the exterior, they spend a lot of time on the interior and what really matters at the heart of a truck like this. It comes in a very handsome box, which you can see behind me there. There is a lot of nice box artwork. They did a good job of getting some nice photography out in the wild. There are lots of great features that they talk about on the box, but rather than read the box, let's go over the truck together and find out what they've included. First of all, they do have a set of licensed Falcon Wild Peak MT tires on this truck. They are 1.55 in size, and they're around 3 inches and a bit high, which is nice for a 12 scale truck. You don't want to go too large, but this is certainly large enough to go over any obstacles. The first thing I notice about the wheels is that the foams are very, very soft. This truck is not very heavy, so that's probably working to its advantage. It'll be able to conform over obstacles and presumably pull you over things much easier than a hard foam tire. They are vented, as you can hear. I'm not a fan of venting my tires. I think it's probably just an East Coast thing. We get a lot more moisture and a lot more wet over here, and I don't feel like drying out my foams and taking apart my tires every time, so I tend to just leave them unvented. Let's take this body off and take a look at the chassis and how everything comes together. Like most scale trail trucks on the market, this is a steel C-channel chassis. Width is exactly the same as an Axial SCX-10-2. So you might be able to find some things that work from that chassis on this truck. Who knows? I mean, that could be an interesting upgrade path, something definitely I'm going to explore further. Motor and transmission mounted in the middle. Gen 2 also has 5mm outputs on the transmission, and that is a significantly good thing. Older models had 4mm outputs, which made it harder to find drive shafts that were aftermarket that you could replace them with. Battery located up front in a nice molded battery tray. You do get a 900 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery. Powering this truck is a 390 size 25 turn brushed motor through a traditional, what appears to be a 3-gear transmission. The waterproof Dynamite ESC is 3S LiPo compatible and is mated to a 4-channel ECX branded 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. That transmitter is very sturdy. It's a nice rubberized wheel, and there it is. There it is right there. You know, you can turn the wheel. There's a brake disc in there with a caliper. 2.4 gigahertz is very standard these days, and it's nice to see that that's included. You can, on the radio, adjust throttle, trim, steering trim. There is steering and throttle dual rate as well. Shock towers are plastic. Bodies of the shocks are also plastic, but they do come with metal caps. Metal links is great to see at this price point. They are all metal, and it's good to see that even the steering links are metal as well. There is a Spectrum servo included. It is a SPM S602 servo. And that Spectrum servo is a 54-ounce-inch torque servo, and the gears inside are plastic. So it is a RTR style servo for sure, but because this truck is so light, hopefully we get some decent use out of it. That servo is axle mounted, so not exactly totally scale accurate, but again, this is an RTR and a low price point. I wouldn't expect them to create a chassis mounted servo just for this truck. It would actually take some space away from where you could put your battery. So, of course, now that I'm into 3D printing, maybe that's something down the line that I'll take a look at, creating a chassis mounted servo. Maybe it's already done. Maybe Pardon My Noob did that already. There are metal C-hubs on the front axle, and speaking of that front axle, it is a very small design. It's got a nice taper to it. Certainly dimensionally, it fits within the range of the truck. It doesn't feel like it's too big or too small. It actually looks fairly accurate to the rest of the truck in terms of its scale. You also get universals in the front axle, which is a great sign at this price point as well. Let's flip the truck over here and get a look at these drive shafts. They are a metal plastic hybrid. They are telescoping and look like they're up to the task. These actually look pretty good for an RTR. I'm actually surprised at the quality there. It's all Phillips head hardware, and that's a bit of a weird one to me. And I mean, in this day and age, most of our hobby grade trucks are all hex hardware, so that to me is a bit of a weird one to see so many Phillips head screws. Gonna have to find a Phillips head screwdriver.
Will you hand me a screwdriver so I can finish my ionic defibrillator? Sure thing, Rick. Here's a screwdriver. All right, Morty, thank you very much. We got 1 screw turn, and 2 screw turns, and...
Why don't we cut outside right now and get an idea of how this truck performs in its natural habitat, the backyard garden. Now, a lot of folks are going to ask how I think this Barrage Gen 2 compares to the associated CR12. They're both 12 scale trucks. They both have a lot of the same feature set, and they are similarly priced. Now, it's hard for me to say exactly which one I think I prefer. I think they both have their place. On first glance, I feel like the mechanicals of the ECX Barrage Gen 2 are a little bit better off than the CR12. That said, the CR12's exterior detail work is substantially better than the ECX Barrage. You can tell that Horizon spent more time worrying about the mechanics and the layout of this truck than they did the exterior body. Now, that's not to say that the CR12 is any worse off, but there are some significant advantages and upgrades in the Gen 2 over the CR12. The ring and pinions are metal. In the CR12, they're plastic. Motor-wise, I think it's pretty much a wash. Shocks, I think these are probably a little bit better than the ones in the CR12. Layout, both very similar. It's hard to say. I think honestly you should probably drive both for yourself so you can make an educated opinion on which truck you think is going to work best for you in these smaller scales. Ultimately, I think the positives vastly outweigh the negatives on this truck, and I think it's a great starter truck to get you into this hobby. It's certainly got a lot of potential, especially when you get rid of that body. And that leads me to the next point. 3 of us on the Scale Builders Guild, myself, Pardon My Noob, and one of my moderators, Wrencher, we all got ECX Barrage Gen 2s from Horizon, and much thanks to them for sending them our way. We have them with the intention of creating all new trucks out of this chassis. We're going to ditch the body, we're going to put our own bodies on it, we're going to put our own spin on it, and scale these trucks out and make something really unique and spectacular with them. And we want you to follow along with this process. So we're going to put the links in the description below where you can check out all 3 builds as they're happening on the Scale Builders Guild forum. Expect some crazy things, expect some wild builds, and expect some scale accuracy, because you're going to get it. I hope you're as excited as I am and the rest of us at the SBG to see what we come up with. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.